Hi, David from NIA here. Today, I'm going to show you how you can tailor your EEGer neurofeedback games. I've made a separate video on how to use your own pictures in formation. There should be a link to that in the description of this video. So, if you want to change something in your neurofeedback games, then from the EEGer home screen, you go to Tools, Tailor Installed Games. So here you have a list of all the games that are installed. The red ones are those that you are not currently licensed to use. So the first thing to note is that if you make a mistake in what you do here and you want to start again, go to Quit Without Save. So if you change something, you're not sure what you changed, and you're worried, you can just go to Quit Without Save and then start again. So let's say, for example, that 90% of the time you only use the DVD game and formation. So therefore, you'd like for those to always be at the top of the list. So you can click on this. Say we click on the DVD game and then move current up, and you see that the DVD game moved up and it keeps moving up. There we go. So now the DVD game is at the top of the list. Similarly, I could say, all right, I want to put formation at the bottom of the list. So you can click on formation and move current down, and it keeps moving down. So that can just make life a bit easier for you. So let's say that you have a client who, or clients that get anxious when they see the score screens in games such as Highway or Formation or Space Race. So we can make it so that there's no score screen. I've already created that game here. So what I'm going to do for us is I'm just going to delete this one. So you can see if you make a copy of a game, you can just delete it. So if I wanted to change a game, I click on it and then I click on Edit. And here you can see there are lots of different parameters that you can edit within the game. Generally, they should be fairly straightforward what they mean. So if we go to item 210, show score screen during pauses, you can click on that, untick it, and now in this game, it won't show the score screen during the pauses. Similarly, you could remove the scoring, that they don't actually see a score, that type of thing, and lots of other stuff here. So you can either replace selection with changes, which means that it will change Highway, this version of the game, or you can create a new version of the game. So say we wanted to leave the old version of Highway there, and we wanted to make one that had no score screen. So we've just named this Highway No Score Screen, and then create new selection. And then we see we have Highway No Score Screen, and I can move that up so formation is at the bottom. Right, now the next thing I'll show you is in formation. And just to note, there's formation, and then there's also UFO faces and faces, which are automatic versions of that. I already have a new version of formation called Saved Pictures, and there's also the different packs that you can buy. So this is one of the packs. So these are all versions of formation that look at different sets of pictures. I'll go into the regular formation, and I want to draw your attention to 4 parameters. So 1141 to 1144, we have minimum grid size and maximum grid size for the X and Y axes, which means in the vertical and in the horizontal. So what this means, the minimum grid size being 2 for X and for Y, and the maximum being 10, is that the smallest matrix, so the smallest amount of blocks you're going to get in a formation picture are 2 by 2, so just 4 tiles. And the largest you're going to get is 10 by 10, which will be 100 tiles. I find that the 2 is a bit too small. After four beeps, you get through a whole picture, and that the 10 is too big. 100 is too many for me personally. So I like to change these to 3 or 4. So let's say I change it to 4. So now that I've changed those two, the smallest grid size will be a 4 by 4 matrix, so that'll be 16 tiles. And now I like to change this because 10 is a bit big, so let's make that 8, say. So now the largest it will be is an 8 by 8 matrix, so that'll be 64. And as you know from playing formation, it will just randomly select numbers between 4 and 8 to create that matrix. So it'll be a random number of tiles in there. If you always wanted it to be, say, 5 by 5, you could set the maximum and the minimum to be 5. Or if you always wanted it to be a particular number in one axis, then you could do that as well. And as I mentioned before, there is another video that I've made on using your own pictures for formation, and you can see the link to that in the description of this video. And again, so I could either say make a copy of formation, so I could name this formation grid size or something like that, or I could just say no, I want this formation version to always be that, so I could either go create new selection or replace. So I'm going to go replace this time. And so our formation here has changed. Something else that I would like to show you is in the DVD game. So if we edit the DVD game, if we go down to 1701, what kind of video control to use. So generally people go for either black or white. So that means that as people go away from their target thresholds, the screen will either go to black or white. Currently it's set on white, but let's say I want to set it to black. And minimum worst video percentage, so that's currently set at 0. So that means at its absolute worst, the image will go to 100% black. I personally think that's way too much, so I set this to 60 or 70%. And if I was to set this to white, then my suggestion is to set this to about 30%. This will be different depending on the video that people are watching, and that these parameters here, 1700 to 1704, you can edit them, you can change them within a session. The way that you do that is that you press S for special when you're in the clinician screen. So what we're doing here is we're just setting the defaults so that you may not have to change it every single session. Okay, so let's replace selection with changes. Again, if I wanted to make a different version of the DVD game, I would change the name up here, and then I would press create new selection. So, I think that's all that I wanted to show you in terms of this screen. Whenever you're done with that, you click on Save All Games. But there's one last thing that I want to show you, and that's if you wanted to, say, change the sound for the rewards or any other sounds. So EEGer automatically has particular sounds loaded in there, but if you want to load new sounds, then you have to go a step further. So you go to the game initialization tool. So let's say that in Ireland, I want a new sound to be in there. So what I do is I double click on Ireland, and here we have number 2020, list of possible sounds. And you have a list of things that are already loaded in there. So now if I want a new sound, I click on add, and you navigate to wherever you've saved the sound. So let's just add this one, baby lion. And let's just say we wanted to add the next one, bark sh. Done. Now we can see that there are 48 possible sounds there. And you can't quite see at the bottom. And then when you're done, you click Done, Save Changes. Something to note when running the game initialization tool is that when you run this tool and you go into a game just like that. So now let's say we do the same thing for highway, and I add another one there. And then you click on Done, Save Configuration. What happens is that it sets that game back to its default beginning. So in Highway, we had that extra version of Highway, if you remember. We had Highway no score screen. That's now gone because I've edited Highway in the game initialization tool. So generally, there's not that much need to go into the game initialization tool and edit the games. The sounds that are in there are typically fine. But if you do need to go in there and do that type of thing, just remember that you might lose out on things that you've changed within that game that you edit. So just beware if you're using the game initialization tool. And so the last thing that I could show you is that in Ireland, if we go in there, we now have those two extra sounds that we added. So if you wanted to change the sound, you go to 2021 path name of reward sound, and you click on that. You can click there or here, and you edit that, and then either create new selection or replace selection with changes. I'm just going to go quit without saving because I don't care at this moment. So that's it for today. I hope you found this video useful. We'll see you next time.